What it is, what it is.
It's the Uplift Show.
Where it is, where it is.
Awesome God Radio.
Who it be, who it be.
It's Breezy in the house.
When it is, when it is.
It's on right now.
What we do, what we do.
We get lifted on the Uplift Show. Here we go now.
Easy, breezy, breezy, easy, easy, breezy, easy, breezy.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Uplift Show with me, Easy Breezy, like Sunday morning. So happy to be in the house another cold evening. I was not expecting this. It's like the weather just, we have bipolar weather here in Maryland anyway. And one day it'll be freezing, and the next day it'll be sunny, and then it'll snow on us, and then we're going to the beach, and that'll be all in the same week. So, that's the way it is. Personally, I'm an autumn girl, so I don't mind a little chill, but it just came a little bit fast for me. But I got plenty of padding, so I'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
Speaking of padding, we're gonna jump right into it tonight because I'm sure that every one of our viewers were here with us live last week as we are continuing to acknowledge Breast Cancer Awareness Month here on Awesome God Radio. Mm-hmm. It is so very important. And last week, we did live demonstration of the breast self-exam. We talked about male breast cancer. I wore my bra outside of my shirt, and people kept saying, "Girl, what the heck are you doing?" But when people saw those pictures, it made them click on the video because they wanted to know what was going on. And it has opened up more people to go and get their mammograms and learn how to do the self-exams. We even had James over here feeling his little pectoral breast. If Shaft can get breast cancer, any man can get breast cancer. And we're very thankful that Richard Roundtree made a full recovery. He is currently in remission, and he's still got his his boobs on his chest. But we are all not. Remember what I say in that cancer is no respecter of person. I don't care how saved you are, what you're an elder or pastor, evangelist. I don't care what you are or who you are. If it wants you, it will find you. And our best course of action is to know early. So get out there, molest yourself. It's all right. It's okay. And y'all know I say whatever I feel like saying. I want to keep things in your consciousness, but I also like to keep things lively. And last week I mentioned about this song called Heavy Boobs. Mm-hmm. And they thought I was lying about this song. So I found the video on YouTube and sent it to. I'm not gonna put it up here because I don't want no mess. But if you are interested, go to YouTube and put Heavy Boobs into the search engine. There is a video by a woman named Rachel Bloom. I think her name is Rachel something. I want to say Bloom. She was on this TV show called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. And for some reason in this show, she started doing this like song and dance number about heavy boobs. And she comes out with these other women and they start doing this booby dance. And she talks about all the things that she can fit under her boobs. A softback copy of Wuthering Heights and a hardback copy of Arabian Nights. And she doesn't need an airbag in her car. She said, if I hit you, if I smacked you in the face, you say, "Oh my God, that hurts. I'm suing you and your heavy boobies." It is hilarious. Now, if you super saved and you might not appreciate it. I thought it was funny. James, after he saw it, said that he needed to go pray, and I think Sherelle, but she's always praying for me.
Yes.
I keep telling y'all, it's about too late. Just let it go.
It's never too late. James, can you hear me? I can't.
Yeah,
hear
we
me.
can hear you.
Okay, well, I can't hear me. Turn up my.
We know
My
that
volume,
Breezy is going to be
please.
breezy. Okay. Now I have some very I have some great stuff tonight. We have a wonderful, beautiful, anointed, gorgeous, lovely guest this evening who I am going to I am going to introduce her very shortly. Right now James's head is in the shot. Say hi to everybody, James. You up there? Okay, now, but just to keep up with the boob talk, because that's what we do here. If you, especially if you've been following me on Facebook, you know that I made mention that I was going to do a certain type of Halloween costume to commemorate Breast Cancer Awareness Month, especially since our last show of the month is going to be on Halloween. Now, I'm not going to say what it is. If you want to go back through my on my Facebook page and look it up, go ahead. But I am encouraging you to make sure to tune in on October the 31st, because I will be rocking my little my Halloween costume. And no, I'm not going to be a giant boob. Don't worry about that. I'm much more sophisticated than that.
You won't? Okay, thank you. Thank you so very much.
But I do want to remind you that we have this lovely giveaway happening here on the Uplift Show for all of my ladies out there. What is that my mother said?
She said, I'm her mother and I can't help her either.
I would like to point out, of course, that if she's my mother, she's the one who raised me, and she, of course, made me exactly who I am. So congratulations to you, Cynthia Williams. Now, I was saying, don't forget our giveaway. Ladies, if you send in to me, you can email me at breezylikesundayMorning@yahoo.com, or you can, of course, contact me here on Facebook at Get Lifted with Breezy or The Uplift Show, and let me know that you have scheduled your mammogram for this month in Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You don't have to tell me your doctor. You don't have to tell me where it is. I will completely trust you. I'm not going to call up the doctor to make sure you came in and got squeezed. Just let me know that you did it. Send me your t-shirt size, and the first, I think Sherelle picked the number 3. I said just pick one between 1 and 5.
I think I said 3.
3.
Yes.
The first 3 ladies who send me that information will receive a free Breast Cancer Awareness Month t-shirt. Not unlike the one that I'm wearing, but not exactly the same. Maybe. I don't know. I have several different styles, so there'll be random styles. You cannot pick your style, but you can pick your size. So don't forget, once you make that appointment, email me at breezylikesundayMorning@yahoo.com, or you can contact me here on the show. And if it is your very first mammogram, ladies, not only will you receive the t-shirt, but you will also get a nice big fat free ticket to the Uplift Show Black and Red Banquet featuring the one and only Vicki Winans.
All right. That sounds amazing.
That's right. Go get squeezed, ladies. Go get squeezed. Molestation is not just for perverts anymore. I have no idea where that came from. Y'all should see the look that Whitney just gave me. She said, oh my God.
I'm going to have to keep my hand on this mute button again this week.
Yes, please. Please do.
Boobs are life. Remember, I don't care what you call them. Call them boobies, call them boo-boos, call them jugs, call them sweater cows, call them anything you want to call them. Stop laughing at the sweater cows. That is a perfect analogy. Just get checked, ladies and gentlemen. It is very important. Now, one more quick thing I want to do is I hope that she's watching right now. It's her birthday, so she might not be, but I would like to publicly thank Dr. Tashika Green, the visionary author of The Women of Virtue Walking in Excellence, which will be available very, very soon. Now, last weekend we had our big conference and black tie gala, book launch. I mean, she did it up, and as the visionary author, and I want to thank her so much for allowing me to be a part of this project. And I got my little, they called me up. I hope y'all saw the pictures on Facebook where I had my beautiful little seafoam gown on, had my little arms out and everything, and I was looking sexy.
Yeah.
And here's my little certificate that I got. I don't know if y'all can see it.
That is so nice.
Ooh,
Congratulations.
that's right. Congratulations.
And it says, this is certificate of appreciation. This award is presented to Brianna C. Cabell for being a contributing author in the anthology Women of Virtue, Walking in Excellence, Character, Wisdom, Courage, and Strength. Brianna, your story inspires, influences, and impacts lives. Dr. Tashika L. Green, visionary author. So this is going to be
All right.
available really, 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 really soon. But, we, as women of excellence, we have to make sure it's excellent before we put it on the shelf.
Amen. Amen.
But you can pre-order right now. You can get all that information on my Facebook page. Okay, enough of that. It is time to get to the meat of the evening. I am so excited to have my undercover BFF here with me this evening. I hope, yes, they can see you. Wait.
Hey.
You are either watching us live through my live feed here on Get Lifted with Breezy, or you can be watching us on the Uplift Show, or you might be listening to us live on the Awesome God Radio app. And I know that every single one of you are faithful listeners of She Heals Radio. I know you are. I don't even have to ask. Because we have one of our own here tonight, our very own Whitney J, who is the host of excuse me, who is the host of She Heals Radio, that will be on live tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Yes.
And I don't care wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, whether you're sitting on your computer or you're looking at your phone, stay right there. Don't move until tomorrow at 6 p.m. so that you will be sure to catch our show. What you got going on tomorrow, with?
You know what? Actually, tomorrow we are doing a rewind episode. I'm actually attending an event tomorrow. I'm doing a little self-care this weekend.
All right.
Oh, amen.
So-
Yes, a
important
little
self-care.
self-care.
That's right.
Yep. So we are going to play an amazing rewind. But the blessing of the She Heals radio show is that every show, God shows up.
Yes, he
So,
does.
You can watch it and get blessed twice.
A lot of times I'm working on Fridays, so I don't get to see it live all the time. But I pop up whenever I can, and I'll watch the rewinds and stuff later. But I have never ever been disappointed at your show, and
Amen. Thank you, Lord.
I never come away without a word of encouragement and without feeling just a little bit better about however messy my day might have been.
That is all Jesus. Thank you, Lord.
That's right.
And I want to say this quickly and definitely acknowledge your producer on your show, who is your very own flesh and blood.
Yes.
We call him Q around here. His name is Quincy. Tell the people how old Quincy is.
So Quincy actually has a birthday coming up. He will be 13 in
Woo.
November.
All right.
So he's 12 years old and has been a producer for over a year now.
On your
Yes.
show. All right.
And he is absolutely
Yes.
awesome. He's better than some of the adult producers we got around
I'm
here.
a
Right.
proud mama. That's
But don't worry, I'm not talking about you, James. We love you.
Not you, James.
Okay, so this evening, now I've asked Whitney here
Thank you.
because I actually have a very special topic tonight. This has been on my mind, especially around this time of year, of course, because it's Halloween, and you think Halloween, and the first thing you think of is candy. The second thing you think of is costumes and masks and the things that we do to make ourselves look like somebody else. And even though I'm not glorifying Halloween, I'm not a Halloween person, of course. I don't hate it either. I say let the kids, dress up in their little angels and Superman costumes. Let them go get their little candy and rotten their teeth, and then that's it.
Right.
I'm certainly don't glorify it, but there is a lot to be said for the people of God who also wear costumes, who also wear masks to hide what and who they truly are. And so I wanted to address that tonight. And I know I actually was inspired to ask you to come for your show last week about being completely transparent.
Yeah.
And that is something that is very, very difficult, especially for Christians, because we are on a pedestal. We're on the spotlight, I should say.
Right,
That
right.
people are looking at you. And when you say you're saved, every little thing people scrutinize.
Right.
And as soon as they catch you doing something, I thought you said you were saved. Exactly. And I mean, for goodness sakes, they did it to Jesus, so why wouldn't they do it to us?
Right.
They did everything. The Sadducees and the Pharisees did everything they could to try to catch him in something,
Right.
just because of who he was.
Yeah.
So we cannot expect anything less. Now, fortunately, Jesus paid it all, so there's some things we don't have to worry about. None of us are going to get crucified. We're not going to get beaten and stoned. That's not going to happen, but we are still going to be persecuted for our beliefs.
Absolutely.
And so because of that, we hesitate to let people into what's really going on behind closed doors. And so I thought about that as I was listening to your show, and everybody knows, of course, that I am Vicki Winans Maniac. I love Vicki so much. And there's a song, and actually we talked about it when she called in. Vicky was on the show in January. And I talked to her. I just mentioned the song. I said, you know what, Mama Vicky, there's a song that you sang that I could not get through that song for years without boohooing and crying. It was never put out as a single. It's very little known. She said immediately, you're talking about Who Knows, don't you? I said, yeah, how you know? So the song is, of course, like I said, it's called Who Knows. Now, in the song, we're not going to play the song because it was never made available as a single. It was not released. The only way you can hear this song is either by having the original VHS videotape of the Live in Detroit Part 1 concert, which was, I believe, 94, but don't quote me on that. I think it was 94. And I guess I did have the original VHS and also the reissue CD. Or if you were live at the show. And but you can also see it on YouTube. But the song is to me it's unlike anything I've ever heard before, because it was almost of her, as they say, killing me softly. She was singing my song. Where the song goes, the lyrics in part. I'm not gonna do the whole thing because I will cry. Did you listen to it? I sent you the video. Did you get a chance to look at it? Okay. So the song is very simple. And to be honest, she don't even sing in key through this whole thing because she spent most of the time crying. There's no background band. There's no choir, no nothing. It is her on stage with her friends and family giving her testimony. And the song's called Who Knows? And she says, who knows how she is hurting and how she is falling apart? Who sees behind the smile who sees behind the scars that she wears beneath her broken heart? And who can feel the pain that she's hiding beneath her smile? Or wait a minute. It's hard for me to think of words without actually singing it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and sing, girl.
Only because I won't be able to remember the words otherwise.
Go ahead and sing.
Oh, my goodness. She lies in her bed. Her eyes are all red from the tears that she has cried. She's there all alone, and although she's grown, she feels like a child inside. She prays faithfully, please Jesus, send me someone who understands. Now her eyes are shut, she's trying to put the day behind her as fast as she can. But who knows how she is hurting, how she is falling apart. And who sees behind the pain that she's hiding beneath her broken heart? And who sees behind the smile that she's wearing when she puts it on with her clothes? But when she's alone, the facade is gone. Is there anyone who knows? It's the first verse. The second verse is talking about her going to work. She puts her happy face on when she goes to work. Nobody at work knows what she's really going through. Right. And she's walking around smiling, and somebody says, good morning, sunshine. What can I do to be just like you? You happy all the time, but who knows? Mm-hmm. So she puts on that mask. Yeah. And at times we all wear masks, and sometimes it's necessary because you don't need to let everybody know about your business.
Right.
But masks can, if you hide behind your mask long enough, eventually it can kill you. And that might necessarily mean a physical death. It could very well mean a spiritual death, because you are so used to putting up this front that the real you is never really healed or saved or redeemed from anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
And who sings that song?
Vicky.
I thought she said Vicky. Don't look at me like that. I just wanted to make sure, but I thought you said Vicky.
She don't hear nothing.
Hey, Vicky Winans.
Mm-hmm. When she come in January, I'm going to tell her that you don't pay her enough attention.
Yes, I did.
So I do have some, some things, some points and things that I want to get to. But Whit, I want to ask you, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this topic of what is behind your mask, or who are you really behind that mask?
When you were singing the lyrics to the song, I was like, dang, like I could have wrote that. It just reminds me that my first thought is that's everybody to a degree. We are told, like even makeup, right? We are, we put things, we're always trying to look our best.
Exactly.
Selves, right? And, I think a lot of times people are just trying to just kind of make it through the day. And I know for me, I have worn the mask so well in life and times that I convinced myself I was okay. It's like, oh yeah, I'm really okay. It's like, actually you're not. But
yeah, and it will come up on you.
And it will sneak up on you
when
real
you least
quick.
expect it. Next thing you know, you in a puddle on the floor.
Yeah.
You wonder what happened. I was fine. No,
you weren't. You weren't fine. But I think that it's common. And I know for me, being as open and as transparent as I am it goes against what I am used to and what I was raised to do, because typically, you're not really supposed to share certain things. And I'm kind of like, well, let me just tell you what happened and let me tell you what's going on. And I think some people don't know how to take that. But for me, it's freeing because I've lived the life of smiling in public and, being a functioning depressed person, like a functioning alcoholic, being a functioning depressed person. And then when the suicide attempts came to everybody else, it was like, where did that come from?
I know, right.
But for me, it's like, you don't understand how hard I'm trying. And I finally got to the point where I couldn't try anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I'm working hard to give you this or to live this. And now I don't have anything left to give. And so I think it's something that we all experience to a certain degree, for sure.
It's anyone who knows me knows I'm a big advocate of mental and emotional health.
Absolutely.
Especially in the church, because unfortunately people seem to have this idea that no matter what's wrong with you, you go up to the altar on Sunday, they throw some oil on you roll around and speak in tongues and spit and snot, and you come up all greasy looking like you're ready to fry some chicken, and everything is done.
Right.
No, it's not.
No,
it is not. It is not. It's not always that easy.
Yeah.
Now that's a first step, and I'm certainly not discounting, looking for prayer and getting that spiritual support. But there's so much more.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, there are a lot of people who, and most of them don't do it on purpose.
Right.
But they just, they've always got this smile and everything's okay, and I'm just blessed and highly favored, and they feel that way. They want you to feel that way too. And they, if you don't say that, then they don't think you saved enough.
Right.
And I cannot tell you how many times during my states of depression, even when I was going through a clinical nervous breakdown, and the pastor of the church where I was at the time said, well, what's wrong with you? You saved now. You're supposed to be over that stuff.
Yeah, that's
like,
not how this works.
Yeah.
No,
not at all.
No. It's funny. You just actually answered your own question. You probably didn't even know it, because I think a lot of times, so I teach, my day job is I'm a special educator, and I teach in a program for children with emotional disabilities, severe trauma, and aggressive behaviors. And so I work with the most awesome children. People assume what that means, but they are great kids. But one of the things is we're teaching them how to manage their emotions, right? So it's okay to feel angry. There's no such thing as happy or good or bad feelings, but how do you manage them? But the main thing is there an environment that they feel safe enough to share what's wrong? So a lot of times, behavior is just communication. So whether you're depressed laying in the bed, you're angry throwing something, it's all communication. There is something that you're conveying to people. But if people don't feel comfortable, so if I don't feel like I can come to you when I'm not up, and I'm saying, hey, I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus right now. Like if I don't feel comfortable, then I'm in bondage. And I think a lot of people in the body of Christ don't feel comfortable because there is a facade in the body that says, well, you're saved. Like you just said, you should be over that. Well, I'm not over it. How about that? I'm not.
And then, of course, sometimes, like you said before, we do think we're over it. We've gotten, we're all in church now. We're happy and we're speaking in tongues and everything is going okay at that moment. Yeah. But if the root of the problem has not been dealt with, it can come back.
It will always come back. It will always come back.
Anytime. You could be in the middle of the holler and the hallelujah and end up breaking down. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? That happened to me, actually, couple of years ago at my church. Now this is my current church where I was up in the choir singing and everything. I can't remember what we were singing. Beautiful song. We're having a great time, and the next thing I know, I was flopped out on the floor.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. And first, we sing, we get emotional sometimes when we sing, but something just happened. And Pastor Jackie, you of course, both of you know Pastor Jackie. I don't know if you've ever seen her on the show. She'll actually be here again next week, but she actually stopped. She's very sensitive to the Spirit, and she stopped the service. She got off the organ because she's also she's also the baddest musician on the East Coast. She stopped everything, got off the organ, and came over to me where I was flopped out on the floor and ministered to me right there on the floor. And she said, I remember her saying to me, "Do you want to get your deliverance here? You want me to take you in the back?" But I was too far gone. I couldn't do it. And some people kind of told me a little bit about what happened. I don't know what it was. But, they said, "Brianna, we could just hear you just screaming and crying, saying, 'God, I can't take this anymore. I can't live anymore. I can't live anymore.'" And I was like, "I did?"
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, it was ugly. It was ugly.
Yeah.
It was past ugly.
Yeah.
Because I think probably all the makeup, it wiped off my face all on the carpet, and I had my hair was going this way and that way, and real deliverance ain't cute.
Yeah, this walk with God ain't cute either.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Quiet as a
I
cat.
wasn't expecting it. We sitting up there singing our cute little song, and the next thing I'm rolling around on the floor screaming about wanting to die.
Yeah.
And several people I had no idea. I had no idea.
That's always the thing. That's always the thing we hear. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea you were sad. And on one end, some people are really good at masking it, But also, I do believe that it's a challenge for us in the body that are we actually paying attention to the people that God has placed in our path? Because, I remember being at this dinner for a close friend of mine, and one of her friends, someone I didn't know personally, was literally, from the moment we got there, they had us cracking up laughing. I mean, like stomach hurting laughing. And I was driving home thinking of something that person said, and instantly the Holy Spirit said, "You need to pray for them. They're depressed." And I sent my friend a message, and I was like, "Hey, this might sound really crazy, but I just got this feeling like I was driving home and I was thinking, and this is what, came to me, can you pray for your friend?" And she ended up conveying that message to them, and that was true. And so it's one of those, God, one of the prayers that I always pray is, "Lord, show me the people that are around me." Is somebody struggling around me? And a lot of times we're struggling, right? And so when we're struggling, it's kind of hard to see somebody else because we're so consumed by whatever it is that's in our path. But I'm like, God, well, just show me. Is somebody around me? Is something off? Is something different? And it could be as simple as, why are they laughing all the time? I know you should be laughing all the time, but are you laughing all the time because you're really happy, or are you working really, really hard and that's going to crash later? Happy. Right. Yeah. So I think it's just important to be in tune and just to ask God and ask the Holy Spirit, please help me to be in tune with who's around me as well, because that mask is, people live that. And now with social media, that social media isn't the problem. Social media just revealed what was already there.
Exactly. It's just much easier to be anonymous now.
Right. And you're can just present yourself.
Person. Yeah. And you can be whoever you want to be. I could go online right now and become a big fat 60-year-old white dude named Cliff.
Yes.
And nobody would know.
Yes.
As far as they know, there's
Cliff.
a 60-year-old white man named Cliff talking to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's easy. And when you're talking, it made me think of course, my own pastor, and everybody knows how crazy I am about her now. But, and I've told her this, she knows that for almost 3 years, I completely avoided her. We were part of the same organization, but I wasn't part of her church.
Oh, wow.
But being in the same organization, of course, district meetings and whatnot, I would see her, but I made sure not to get close to her. I was terrified of her, and we tease her in it's true but a funny kind of way, but it's absolutely true. Lots of people are scared of Pastor Jackie because I've seen her knock people out without even touching them. I've seen people fall out just walking past her when her spirit is really that high.
Wow.
And so, and we know now, after church or something, we have this little joke we look at her and see what kind of mood she's in. If she's doing okay, we go over and speak to Pastor. If she's not, we like, hi, Pastor. Stay over there. We're not trying to end up on the floor. I cannot tell you how many people I've picked up off the floors around her.
Wow.
I mean, in the bathroom, in the kitchen, in the hallway, out in the yard, during a church picnic. It never fails. So we tease her, about being scared of her because people don't want to fall out. And people say, "Oh, you just don't want to fall out." I said, "No, that had nothing to do with it." But I didn't realize it at the time. I was scared of her because I knew that she could see me.
Yeah.
And
That's real.
and I felt that she was going to find me out, and she was going to know that I was not all saved and sanctified and cute and pretty like I was portraying.
Right.
I knew she was going to find me out, even though I didn't go to her church. I knew that 5 minutes with her, she was going to know.
She was gonna know.
And sure enough, she did. Now, even though I did not speak to her or anything, I don't even think, and the thing is, she and my mother and their family all grew up together. So, she'd known my mother since they were this high.
Wow.
But she at that time probably didn't even know that I was her daughter. She didn't know who I was. But at a women's retreat, she had, just what they call, I guess, just a little one-on-one. If anybody wanted to, to speak to her one-on-one, they could. Now, keep in mind, I'm still terrified, but I'm keeping my anonymous face on, knowing that she really doesn't know who I am. As soon as I sat down and I looked in her face, and I said, "Pastor, there's something that I'm struggling with, and I can't even say it." Immediately, she said it.
Wow.
And I said,
Right.
and she picked it up so quickly and so cleanly that made me even more scared.
Right. Oh my goodness.
However, the same thing that I ran away from her before is the reason I run to her now.
Amen.
Because I know that if something's going on that's not right, she's going to be able to help me pick it out.
Right.
Now, the minister of fun, Sherelle, you've been awfully quiet this
I'm
evening.
listening. I'm truly just like the audience. I'm one of the AGR listeners right now. I'm not even guest host, co-host. I'm just listening, like tuned in, like, really? Okay. And I'm just thinking about stuff like people, and I'm just really just listening.
Well, while you're tuning in, if you can look up for me Psalms 139.
Sure. Ready?
Read. Now, while she's looking that up,
39.
let's see. Because I skipped around a little bit on my notes.
What Whitney said about people who, the life of the party, makes you think about Robin Williams.
Yep. Comedians oftentimes struggle heavily with depression.
I always,
Yeah.
he was always a little like kind of a whirling dervish to me. And I was like, something's a little funny with that man.
Don't struggle with it. I'm the minister of fun. I don't.
Oh, I didn't. No, I'm not saying all,
Yeah, I know
but
what you're saying.
a lot of times,
Jim Carrey has the same problem. He's spoken out about it.
Yeah. I love him. Yeah.
I don't like Jim Carrey. He gets on my nerves.
Stop it.
Oh,
What? I don't find him funny. He annoys me. But I'm very difficult
which
to
movie?
please.
I was gonna say, listen, I still quote movies like some of Jim Carrey movies.
The only movie that I really, really liked from him was Liar Liar.
Yeah, that was
I remember The Truman Show. I don't think I'll ever see it again, but I liked the movie.
like not Ace Ventura, The Mask.
No,
Come
he
on.
made his butt talk. He turned around and made his butt
And
talk.
I cry laughing.
No, no.
Ace Ventura,
White
Pet
people don't
Detective.
have. White men don't have butts anyway. And then turn
Not
around
even
and
in
put it
Living
in my
Color?
face.
Oh, he was funny in the Living Color.
Fire Marshal Bill, come on
No,
now.
I'm talking about his movies.
Oh,
And,
okay, well,
I did like In Living Color.
Yeah.
You can't have your black card without liking In Living Color
This
for
is
the
true.
first like 3 seasons.
This is true.
After the
What'd you say, James?
He's about to put you out.
Oh yeah, for real.
No,
I was like,
no. I still watch
And
In
I
Living
was
Color
real
to this
young
day.
watching The Living Color. I wasn't even supposed to be watching it, but I watched it anyway.
You had to.
Yeah.
You had to. That's what made you cool. If you went to school and didn't say that you watched In Living Color last night,
Yeah.
you wouldn't get no
How
cupcakes.
many celebrities came out of In Living Color?
Yeah, that roster is
Agreed.
strong.
Agreed.
It's strong.
Yeah.
Okay, let us not get sidetracked
I
talking
digress.
about
Sorry,
talking
that
butts.
was me.
139. Ready?
Read.
The whole.
No.
Which verse?
Well, you know what? Just start, and we'll stop it after a minute.
To the chief musician, the Psalm of David. O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and my uprising.
Yes.
Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compasseth my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. How many ways?
All my
Oh.
ways.
Amen.
For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thank you. I knew I wasn't hearing me. Thank you, James. Super duper producer. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there.
Skip us down to 14, please.
Okay, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well.
Keep going.
My substance was not hid from thee when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them.
23.
Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
Amen.
Amen. That's it.
And of course, she didn't read the whole thing, but it is so very powerful that no matter what you got on, no matter what you're wearing, no matter how big your smile is, no matter how funny you are, no matter how cute you are, you can have on the best weave and the best eyelashes and everything else. God knows.
He
He sees. He knows your ways. He created you. He can count every hair upon your head. So how would he not know about the pain that you're also experiencing
That's
behind those
right.
closed doors? Now, of course, back to the song, Who Knows? The last verse of that song, I think the third verse, was where she's saying, but Jesus knows all of your struggles, how you are falling apart.
That's right.
He sees behind the pain that you're hiding beneath that old broken heart. So you can fool your friends. You might even fool your mama. You might even be able to fool your pastor, but you can't fool God.
That's right.
He knows every single thing about you.
And some
That's right.
people gotta have the best dress, and designer clothes and bags and
You
shoes.
got better eyeballs than me. What did Pastor B just say?
Pastor B said, Whitney, please tell us about your book.
That's
what it says.
Don't worry, Pastor. I'm gonna give her
It's in
time to talk
alignment with
about
the
that.
topic. That's true. It's like right on.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna get to that. Don't worry. You are not allowed to come on my show and not toot your horn. So don't worry about that.
I'm tooting God's horn with that one, honey.
My question, do you ever feel like you are wearing a mask? Do you ever find yourself pretending to be someone you're not? Pretending to have it all together, but in reality, your all-togethers are falling apart. You would never want people to see the real you, the person behind the mask. You would be embarrassed if you were ever found out. So we put on our mask, go about our business, and when friends ask how we are, we smile and declare, I'm great, how are you? Didn't you just say that?
Yep.
We do it all the time. And it's like it's reflex. How are you? Oh, I'm great. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm blessed. It's reflex.
Yeah.
No matter how
Said
you
without
feel, it's
heart.
just reflex to say that.
Yeah.
Which of course, again, is fine in some situations. You meet somebody on the street, they ask you how you doing. Oh, I'm wonderful. How are you? You're not gonna say, child, let me tell you. You don't know them.
Right.
One time I was at the grocery store, and I've been told many times that I have this kind of presence that makes people want to talk to me. So I hear people's business all the time, whether I ask or not. I was at the grocery store, and I walked up to the register, and the one behind the counter, I just said hello. I didn't ask her how she was doing or nothing. All I said was hello. She said, girl, I am so tired. I did not sleep last night. I really feel like my husband is cheating on me. And then she was like, I didn't ask.
Wow. Did you ring up my bride?
I know that. And I only had like 3 items. It was like right before closing. I was on my way home from work, had to grab a couple of things. And you telling me that you
You
think
had
your
to get
husband
that
cheated
out.
on me? I'm like, honey, you need to be talking to him. Don't talk to me. He ain't cheating with me. But I just listen to her.
Yeah.
Like,
She probably was holding that all day, though. Right.
She had on her mask.
She was holding it so she couldn't hold it.
Because so many of us are wearing these perfection masks, we look around and think that we are the only Christian mom or wife or daughter or son or husband who is messing up. We feel like failures. We would never admit to needing help, let alone actually asking for it. Instead of building one another up and encouraging each other in the faith, we pretend that we are just fine and hide behind our mask. But God sees behind the mask. He sees the mistakes and the failures, and yet he loves us completely and unconditionally. Isn't it comforting to know how much he loves you?
Yes.
As Sherelle just read in Psalm 139, that God searches us and knows us. He knows us completely from the inside out. He knows a word before it even reaches our tongue. He is familiar with our ways. He isn't surprised by us. When we say there's nothing new under the sun, it might be new to you. It's not new to him. It is not new to him. Excuse me. He knows every thought, every worry, every joy, every hurt. There is nowhere we can run from his spirit. Nowhere we can escape his love. No mask can hide our person from him. With God, we can stop pretending, take off our mask, and allow him to love us.
Amen.
And I believe that we can also take off our mask with our sisters and our brothers in Christ. Allow them to love us and share authentic relationships with them. We might find that we all make mistakes. Not one of us is perfect, and we are not the only ones in the carpool with a dirty minivan.
Amen.
That was my final point there. We need, as a family. Now, you don't have to go to the same church, no nothing. We don't have to be the same denomination. That has nothing to do with it. One Lord, one faith, one baptism. As soon as we are accepted into the body of Christ, we become family, period.
Yes.
And we as a family need to learn how to listen to support each other, to be honest with each other, to be transparent with each other.
Yeah.
Because it is not until you begin, as we say, that we're strengthened by the testimonies of others. You never know what somebody else is going through until you tell them your story sometimes.
That's right.
Or you hear somebody else's story, you're like, man, I'm going through that too.
Yeah.
How did you get over this? And it starts to build a bond.
Absolutely.
Hiding behind your mask does not heal anything.
Absolutely.
I've told this a few times, and we're not doing too bad. I thought I talked more than that. I've shared this story a few times. The first time I shared it is when I was doing a talk somewhere on the campus at Anne Arundel College. This was years ago. That's right. I was talking about my first book when it came out. And I was reading some excerpts from it. And one of the ladies in the audience, she said, how are you able to just tell all your business like that? And she said, how are you able to be so open? Aren't you afraid to let people into that? And I said, well, let me give you a piece of medical advice that I received, but I turned it around. I was doing I used to be a caterer. And I was doing, one day I just ended up very, very busy. The next day I had a wedding and a graduation party to cater, pretty much by myself, just me and my mom. And so I was up late. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I was slicing 35 pounds of raw beef, trying to get this stuff sliced. And I ended up slicing right through my finger.
Oh, my Jesus.
And I actually hit an artery. But I was so busy, I was like, I don't have time to deal with this. So I just wrapped it up in paper towels and dish towel and just kept on going. After I got all the meat in the oven and everything, then I went to the hospital. And it was not until about 5 o'clock in the morning that they called me back. So I'm, sitting in the waiting room for hours and hours. By that time, of course, it had started to coagulate and close up and everything. So as he, when the tech pulled off my paper towels and everything, and he went to numb the area, and he started poking around, and he ended up opening the artery again, fooling around in there. And he kept trying to numb me. The numbing wouldn't work. And finally I said, I don't have time for this. Just stitch me up. I don't care about the numbing. Just stitch it up. So he did that. And then he wrapped it up and gave me his medical advice, which I took in another way. He said, okay, you need to keep this covered at least for a few days to protect the wound. But after a few days, you need to take the covering off so that it will heal properly. It needs to be aired out, or else it will not heal properly. And I took it for what it was at the time, but later it just resonated with me.
Yeah.
That when something happens to us, immediately we want to take cover, and we should. On those first that first very emotional
The shock,
and
yeah.
time, we need to be alone. We need to protect ourselves. But if you stay covered up for too long, that wound will become infected. And any dime store doctor will tell you that an infection, if gone untreated long enough, it will kill you, and that's physical death.
Yeah.
It only takes a small bit of infection. When it gets in your bloodstream, you're
It's a
gone.
wrap, yeah.
Yeah.
And that is the same for spiritual infection. If you do not allow those wounds to heal, if you don't go for the treatment that you need, that wound will turn into infection, and that infection will kill you. And that is a spiritual death, and that's much worse, as far as I'm concerned, than a physical death. I would much rather die and go on to my heavenly home than be walking around as Walking Dead, as some kind of undead zombie with no connection to my Father.
Wow.
So, ladies and gentlemen, whatever your mask is that you are wearing, whatever you got on when you get to work, when you get to church, when you get home, when you around your children or your friends, you need to find somebody where you feel safe and comfortable with to take that mask off. Sometimes if you leave it on long enough, it will kill you. Now, Whitney, I'm going to ask you for, a closing thought if you have one, and then we're going to talk about your book.
Honestly, my book is the closing thought. Just because of everything you said, just reminded me of things that I've actually written about. The title of my book is "The Pain is Real, but the Promise is Eternal." What to do when God's will hurts. And so I think
Wait a minute, just a second. Wait a minute.
Yes, you have to get used to. She writes
Pain is
everything
real.
down.
Yes, I do.
the pain is real, but the promise is eternal.
Promise is eternal.
What to do when God's will hurts.
What to do when God's will
Hurts.
hurts.
Yep. And so
Ooh.
oftentimes, things happen, and we are quick to say it's the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we blame the poor devil.
We blame him. We give him way too much credit for stuff. But sometimes God allows things to happen that hurt, right? Mm-hmm. He allows certain struggles and things that we go through. And I think a lot of times we are so focused on the pain that we miss the promise. And so, what we look at is what grows, right? So if we're only looking at the pain is going to grow. Mm-hmm. If we start looking at the promise is going to grow. And so I think my word of encouragement is to shift our focus. And in order to be healed and freed and transformed, you have to be honest. It is so freeing when you can go to God and just say, God, this is where I am. It's funny. I was driving here and I was really annoyed because I was in traffic and I did not want to be in traffic. Because it requires me to be still. And being still requires, it's when my brain starts working. It's like, hey, remember that thought you were thinking, or remember that thing you're worried about? And I was in the car and, so I was in the car and I'm like, I just want to get to where I'm going. And, it slowed down and I could instantly feel the rush of thoughts because there are so many different things that are going on right now. And I had to just take that time to, what? I'm not going to sink into this dark place. Mm-hmm. And guess what? My therapist is not available right now. And, what I will do, though, is I'm going to give it back to you. So I'm going to say, God, this is what I'm going through, but this is what your word says. God, this is how I'm really feeling right now, but this is what you said. God, this is what's happening right now, but you took me out of something that was way worse before. So I know you're the same God. You're going to be faithful. And I had to really just talk to him. I had to turn the music down for a second and just really get in his space and just say, God, listen, I'm taking all of this in stride, but I'm tired, and I'm exhausted, and I'm trying to hold on and I'm trying to trust you. But the reality, God, is I still struggle with my trust because I trusted you with something really major and it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Mm-hmm. Okay. So
but
we get
key
to the
word
root.
right there was the way you wanted it to.
Exactly. Not that it didn't work out, but it didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And so, my encouragement is that you have to have those raw prayers with God. Like your prayers do not have to be church etiquette
or
perfect.
30 minutes long.
Yes. Listen, some prayers, the word says the Holy Spirit will interpret our groans when we don't know what to pray for. Mm-hmm. So it's just getting in his face, but it's being honest about exactly where you are. Right. And I think that people don't realize just how freeing it is to say, I'm not okay.
I am listening to everything you're saying, by the way. I'm looking
Oh,
up
you're
something.
fine. You're fine.
Because you brought something to my mind.
Yeah,
I'm trying
but
to
just-
find it real quick.
It's okay to say that. And so when I was writing from a place of hurt. You know, my husband passed away 20 days before his 31st birthday. I was a 25-year-old widow with two children, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old boy, both boys. My 2-year-old was diagnosed with autism 2 months before my husband died. Like, I was in the midst of like some stuff. And about a year after he passed, I was literally laying on the floor in my bedroom, bawling my eyes out because I was so overwhelmed just with like, God, you took my husband.
Right.
And now I got these kids and, you know, and a son with autism and working as a special educator and all this. And I was just at that breaking point of everyone kept telling me how strong I was, but they didn't see that I was struggling. Even when I was saying I'm struggling, they're like, but you're so strong, you know? And so I was laying on my floor in February of 2013, so this was like 7 or 8 months after my husband passed, and God gave me this word of the pain is real, but the promise is eternal, and that was the title of the book. I didn't start writing the book until 3 years later after my mother passed away. And so I'm like, okay, God, again, like, what are you doing? You know, the harder I serve you, the more hits I take, you know, and like, why does it have to always be me and my family that's going through this? And why are we always struggling? And so I just had to say, I can't do this church stuff anymore. Like, I can't do this come to church and look good and fake it for 2 hours.
Right.
If I'm going to tell it, I'm going to tell it all.
Right.
Thank
And
you.
so that was where and I'm like, okay, this is the walk with God. You know, there are some ebbs and some flows. There are some great days. There are some hard days. And you gotta, it's not a pick and choose. You either are in or you are out. You're either on the ride or you're not on the ride. And you have to realize that the ride is bumpy. And I think we try to paint this picture of when you get saved, everything goes great. And nothing's wrong after that. And that's not true. And so I feel like that,
wah.
right?
It would
Yeah.
be nice, but
Sorry,
no,
but
life
no.
don't work like that.
But I feel like it's important because so many people are giving their lives to God and they're on fire for God, and then they get hit with something and they're not prepared
Right.
because they're really not reading their word, because the word clearly shows that that it's not like that, or they're not, or the body isn't a safe place where people are talking about what's going on with them and the different things that God has brought them through, and so then they're broken. And so I wrote from a place of brokenness of, God, you know, I trusted you with my husband's life, you know what I mean, and your will is perfect. That don't mean I have to like it though, but your will is perfect.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm here, and Lord help me. And so that was where the birth was book was through the book was birthed, was through my own pain. And as a result of that came the She Heals radio show and all these other
Heals.
things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, all of that kind of came from one act of obedience. But I had to be honest and be able to share more about myself than I was comfortable sharing. But I've not, y'all on it. I didn't even see that happen.
Thank you, James.
I didn't thank you. I didn't even see that
Always
happen.
doing
Trying to figure out when to jump in. It's like, where can we get your book?
Absolutely, it's on Amazon.
Okay, we
The
know
link
that.
is on the
He
line.
on point. James need a raise.
Yeah. But it was just writing from a place of brokenness and just being honest that even though, yes, my life was absolutely turned upside down in 2012, in 2019, we are still here.
Amen.
We are still
Amen.
thriving. Don't
Hey,
even look
AJ.
like what
Don't-
we've
don't
been
start
through.
nothing up in
Listen,
here.
I might have to start something in here because I love when I meet people and then I start talking and then I see them look at me like, what? What happened? And I'm like, yeah, we're great though. God is good. But you know, there's a whole process that's involved, and so my book is broken into sections: pain, promise, process, and purpose. Because there is a process that we tend to not want to go through.
Stop right there.
Pain, promise,
Because this
process
and purpose. That's the
this
sections
is
of my
too
book.
good. And I don't want, because we are actually out of time.
Yeah.
And so we need to get you back here
And
at a
you
later
guys
date.
need to come hang with
Yes,
She
we
Heals.
know,
Come
She
party
Heals.
on Fridays
Amen.
with
She
me.
Heals.
Anytime you call me, I
Listen,
will
we're gonna
be
pick a
there.
Friday in December.
Okay.
Sounds good.
We're gonna pick a Friday in December.
All right.
Amen.
I did. You said something that just brought this into my head. This is actually one of the pieces that I wrote for something. I don't know what I wrote it for, but it's called Mask. And some people fuss at me because they say I don't talk about my work enough, or I don't read enough stuff. I'm like, all right, fine. So I remembered this. I cannot in any way memorize anything that I've written. I just can't.
Yeah.
Now you ask me Shakespeare, I can give you a Shakespeare
I don't know
quick
nothing I
right
said.
like that. But yeah, I don't. I cannot
It's
memorize
gone.
what I wrote.
It's through
So,
God. He throws it out.
yeah,
and
so
that's
I'm gonna
it.
have to read it. And then this is called Mask. Its smile never fades, wavers. The unemotional emotions stuck, favored. Somewhere between a smirk and a laugh, haunting. Its ruby dead lips frozen, taunting. Cheekbones high, round and perfect, circles. Frozen in plump, flat innocence, lurking. Undelibly inviting, squeezable, untouchable, hardened, begging to be freed, calling, warden. Eyes empty, full of compassion, lying, wide open, closed to pain, dying. So dark and lit with colored shadows, blind, always hiding, watching silently, pining. It never changes, always evolving, stuck in the past, unyielding, stationary with dry cries hiding from the future, unfeeling. It puts me on, I can't let go, intertwined. Time to face the day, sunrise, sunset, confined.
Your mom said you need to talk about your poetry more. That's what your mom said. And Dre Tasia
I
said,
talk
"Hey,
about it.
Breezy, Dre Tasia."
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. We're gonna talk real soon. We're gonna talk real soon. I'm so excited. I've gotten into this group. I've just met so many fascinating, beautiful women with all of the things that I'm involved in. But of course, we are out of time. But I cannot let us go without indulging AJ, our station manager,
Yeah.
the big boss, and
right.
without indulging James, who told me before we came on there, you have to make sure to do dumb tweets tonight.
Okay, wait a minute. Before you do that, since we were talking about, and Whitney was talking about.
Keep in
pain,
mind, we have
the
less than
pain,
2 minutes.
I say pain, promise, and process and purpose. I said I would mention this. It's one of our sisters in Christ, Wanda Sykes. Her daughter had a stroke. And so last week at work, and so that's one of those out of the blue, where did this come from? Maybe want to question God and
Absolutely.
and have to go through now the process of her healing, which we are believing God for. Amen.
Amen.
So, but I say all that to say that, I asked her, was it okay to mention that? Because when people get hit with blows out the blue, sometimes you have financial struggles that come with that. Now you talk about
Absolutely.
medical bills and all this. So I told her that if you guys want to donate, please do. Send it to a Cash App. I'm going to post it if you want to be a blessing and help her out as she goes through, of course, because she has to now be off work and her daughter is out of work and, home and getting therapy and all that. And it really affected her to where, she's having struggles walking and all that. So I'm just going to post her Cash App. And if you want to be a blessing, just anything, will help out. And so I just wanted to mention that before we got off the air tonight, because she's definitely one of New Jerusalem. Go ahead, where the power's in her.
Where the power's in the love
Yes.
and the deliverance is in your praise.
She's definitely well connected with New Jerusalem, and so I wanted to mention that.
Okay. Well, we are now actually past our time, but I did ask you to do something for me earlier.
Yes, I did.
Now we're going to save it for next week, though.
Okay.
I just simply asked Sherelle if she would put together a little something so that we could commemorate, of course, the life of Dr. Elijah Cummings, who passed away last night. Very, very,
This
very
morning.
important here in the not
Absolutely.
just in Baltimore. This is where his presence was felt the most.
Yeah.
But
In our
I mean, this man has
country.
been he's been on the board for what, just since '96 or something.
Yes.
So definitely his presence will
96, right.
will definitely be missed, and we're gonna honor him a little bit next week. Okay, I'm past time, but that's all right. AJ will forgive me. This one is too
No
funny.
worries. Go ahead.
Tales from Dumb Twitterverse, ladies and gentlemen. There's plenty of dumb tweets out there, and I feel like I get dumber every time I read one. This young lady says they should move that deer crossing sign down on Route 11. It's a terrible place for them to cross.
Lord,
Wait a minute, say that again.
fix it.
They should move that deer crossing down on Route 11 because it's a terrible place for them to cross.
Help us,
Now, I
Jesus.
love this one so much because this person thinks that when they see a deer crossing sign, that's where the deer have agreed
Right,
to
the deer are gonna
cross.
cross wherever they want to cross, boo boo. We letting you know that it can happen.
Like, like the deers, maybe they even put up the sign themselves, like, okay, this is where we're crossing.
Right. Oh, jeez.
So obviously, they put the sign there because that's just weird. The deers happen to cross. So, and deers, they can't read, but they recognize themselves. So when they see that picture of themselves, they say, "Oh, that's where we're supposed to cross."
Right.
Apparently, yes.
Yeah.
And does she really think that moving the sign down the road is gonna make the deer move to the other side of the road or something?
I'm not gonna try to
Yeah.
rationalize that.
But you know what? You can help me with this one really quick because you're a teacher, and I'm
Oh,
sure you
Lord.
would know this.
Lord,
What language do Egyptians speak?
you're asking me for real?
Yes.
No, I want to see what they said.
This person answered and said, Egyptians speak hieroglyphics. Duh.
I
So
can't.
yeah, now I always thought, of course, that, and I wrote this down, that Egyptians speak Arabic, but apparently they speak hieroglyphics, which is the writing system, of course, used in ancient Egypt. So people in Egypt walk up to each other and say, bird, one eye, squiggly line.
Help me, Jesus.
One day I think we might do a whole show speaking in hieroglyphics and set a record for the most people who turn away from a radio show in one night. But wouldn't that be nice though? Just walk up to somebody, eyeball, pot with water.
No. The talking in my class would probably dim her down, though, so maybe I'll try it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for one more week here on the Uplift Show. And do not forget, tomorrow night, 6 p.m., same bat time, same bat station. Please, well, not really the same time, but so what? Same bat channel. Please come back at 6 p.m. for our very own Whitney J and She Heals Radio tomorrow at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Friday?
6 p.m.
Okay.
Of course, we said that like 3 times at the beginning of the show.
No, I didn't hear you say the time.
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, all right. I was doing
She
things.
did.
I was doing
So, of
things.
course, we're going to give you, we're not going to let you go without an uplifting thought for the week. Oh, and also next week, please come back because we will have, of course, my very own Pastor Jacqueline Faye Saunders Johnson and her husband, Dr. Bishop Robert Everett Johnson, Senior President. Okay. And we're having them on, of course, to celebrate. Not only is this Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it's also Pastoral Appreciation Month. So I've got something special working for them next week. So our uplifting thought of the day comes from one of my personal favorites, Dr. Maya Angelou.
Yes.
And it fits in perfectly with what our topic was tonight. And she says very simply, if a person shows you who they really are, believe them.
Yes.
We all wear our masks sometimes, but when somebody takes that mask off around you and they show you who they are, believe what they say.
Believe them.
They might not say it with their mouth, but believe them. You can't change nobody. You can't fix nobody. You can't turn nobody around. You might be able to help them, but you can't fix them. That's up to
Jesus himself. That's right.
So if someone shows you who they are, believe them. Ladies and German, thank you once again for tuning in. Please keep up with us at GetLiftedBeMore.com and here on at Get Lifted with Breezy on Facebook and The Uplift Show. And until next week, we always want you to get peace, get wisdom, get understanding, get love, and above all, get lifted. See you next week.
Easy like Sunday, breezy, breezy like Sunday, easy like Sunday.
Awesome.
Morning, breezy, breezy like Sunday, easy like Sunday, breezy, breezy like Sunday morning.
What it is,
It's the Uplift Show.
where it is.
Awesome God Radio.
Who it be,
It's Breezy in the house.
when it is.
It's on right now.
What we do.
We get lifted on the Uplift Show. Here we go now.
Easy.